Hello and welcome to another screencast. In this screencast I'll be going over Lab 5.6.1 Skills Integrated Challenge Routing IP Packets. To begin this challenge, I opened up the source file, and alongside my window I have the tasks. According to the very first task, I have to configure the FA, that is the Fast Ethernet interface, of our R2 Central router. To do this, I'm going to click on R2 Central. Going to open up a new dialog box. I'm going to click on the Config tab, and over on the left I'm going to come down and click on the FA, that is Fast Ethernet 0/0. According to the task, I need to first turn this on, and I need to configure it with the correct IP address. This interface belongs to the 172.16.0.0 network, and I am told to configure it so it's 172.16.255.254, the last usable address for this network. And I should click in the subnet mask, and the default of 255.255.0.0 should be entered in for us. Let's close out of that. And if I did this correctly, my completion window should be now at 75%. Let me scroll down and see what task 2 is. Task 2 is just asking me to examine the routes between R2 and R1. And you'll notice when you do this that these are correctly connected together and properly configured. However, R2 does not have a default route to forward any and all messages to the ISP. So our next step, task 3, is to configure R2 Central to have a static route that points to R1. To do this, once again, I'm going to click on R2 Central, and then I'm going to come up to the Config tab, and I'm going to choose Static. Okay, now they want me to enter in a default route, so any other network other than the local area network should be forwarded to R1 ISP. To do this, I'm going to enter in 0.0.0.0 for the network address. And I'm going to do the same thing for the subnet mask. It's basically saying if you don't find an exact match, then this is going to be your default, the any and all, if you will. In order to do that, I have to hop to the next IP address, so that'll be the public side of R1 ISP, which should have an address of, let me check it out, 10.10.10.6. Now, I know that to be true because that's what the instructions are telling me, but I could find out by hovering R over R1.ISP, and hopefully a new box appears explaining what the IP addresses are for that router. Let me close out of that, and if I did this correctly, I completed the assignment 100%, but the best thing to do is to actually thoroughly test this. To test the connection between these two local area networks, I'm going to change my mode to simulation. You'll notice my simulation panel has been pulled off the logical workspace and drug over here to the right. I've only done that so it's easier for me to see the actual PDUs that show up in the event list as well as the logical workspace. I'm going to edit my filters so that the only option I have available or checked is going to be the ICMP. So that means I remove the check where it says show all / none, and I put another check in the ICMP. I'm going to come back here and click on the logical workspace. After doing this, I'm going to click on the envelope, the simple PDU. I'm going to click on PC1A, and then I'm going to click on the Eagle server. Now, if this is your first time running the simulation, this envelope might fail at the ISP. Remember, routers have to build their own tables up, their ARP tables as well. So this is not my first time running the simulation. Just give you a heads up, it should be successful between 1A and Eagle server, but if this is your first time running it, it might fail. Just rerun it and it should be successful. So let me hit forward, and I see that the packet goes to the switch. Then it should go to my R2 router, and then for my R2 router I should be checking its routing table, finding my default route, the one we just put in, and it should be forwarding it to the ISP's router. At this given point, the router should be making up its ARP table and determining that this packet is destined to the server and forward out of the FA0/0 interface of the R1 router, which it does. The server now responds back with a reply. So it goes to the ISP. The ISP will then forward it to the R2 because it has a routing entry in its table to know about the R2's private network. That would be the central network. So if I hit forward, it goes to R2, back to the switch, down the PC 1A. And we have a green little check mark flickering, letting us know that we were successful. In doing so, the lab is completed. We have 100%, and we tested end-to-end delivery. This concludes our screencast on Lab 5.6.1 review. In this screencast, we discussed how to configure a router's private interface, that is the FastEthernet 0/0, as well as to teach that router about a default route to point any and all packets destined to another network to an ISP's router. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next screencast.